The workshop we're having today is to do with empowerment of refugees, and this could be in camps or in country. Now, my focus is mainly on volunteering as a way of empowering refugees. Focusing in country, one of the ways we use to empower refugees is through volunteering. How does it work? It's not just a question of coming in and start volunteering. It takes steps and sometimes time to get people to start volunteering. But there has to be a reason at the end of the process to benefit the client, benefit a refugee. And it could be to do with getting experience or gaining English speaking skills or getting to know their place where to go within the community. But most of all, it's a journey to give them the independence, to have the fulfillment and to feel involved in the community. Now, I would like to invite one of our volunteers, it will be like an open book, Mahad, to come and talk about his experience in volunteering.
And so Mahad is the volunteer. He got a book. He's a living library. And his whole journey has got chapters. So Mahad is going to read to us one of the chapters in his book. And I'm sure he'll be inviting us to meet him. And if you're interested in the next chapter or you wanted to know how the whole thing started. So Mahad will be probably in the middle or somewhere around the end or somewhere in the beginning. Wherever he wants to start, it will be a chapter. And you can follow from back or front. So Mahad will be telling us briefly what his journey into volunteering and how that impacts on our learning today. Just before he comes, this poster note that you have before you, if you can make sure you got one of them right close to you with a pen. So right after Mahad, I'll be asking you to do something. It will be in a rush, just as sometimes it is for refugees when they are running away from their countries. So we give you a little bit of warning because of workshop, but usually they don't tell them they're coming to shoot. Something just happens. So, Mahad.
I am Maher Dinawi from Syria. I would like to thank the organizing committee for this conference for giving me the opportunity to share my volunteering experience with you. I was given a warm welcome and proper guidance into volunteering by the New Beginnings Project, which is part of VAS. As a refugee with no family and friends, this golden opportunity saved me from staying at home idle, isolated, and frustrated, which might lead to other mental health problems, including depression, as you know. I should admit, the first time I visited VAS, I was not sure I could offer any help, as I needed help myself. I was not sure I would be good in volunteering even. I expressed my worries to the team, and every time I made contact with one of the advisors, I was giving assurance and that everything would be all right, and they were right. Here I am involved in various volunteer activities, including interpreting, as I am bilingual, and some administration and work and mentoring. The best experience still for me is joining the volunteer team at the Kellam Island Museum and the Sheffield Royal Society for the Blind. At the museum, I was exposed to the history of steel industry in Sheffield. My volunteering experience has made me feel valued, appreciated, and increased my knowledge about the city. At the Blind Society, I was so much happy and satisfied with offering help to the elderly visually impaired. And I'm amazed by the appreciation I receive from them. Volunteering is so much similarly to teaching, actually, and coaching. In fact, it is a learning teaching process. When you teach someone and you see he or her applying that what you have taught. It gives you a feeling of satisfaction and inner happiness. The happiness of others is reflected on you. So in a way, when I support other refugees into volunteering or accompanying them to appointments like a job center or medical clinics, and I see them feel happy, so I feel the same myself. It is a learning, the volunteering, it's also learning new skills and opening a window of hope for those who are in distress or less privileged. It is helping to aim for better life and be better citizens. It is helping people to value themselves. I conclude my short word, which should not exceed 3 minutes, as I was told by the organizers, that I am really impressed by the high spirit of volunteering in the UK in general, and maybe in Sheffield in particular, which reflects the deep thinking of humanity and joining hands and efforts to make a better living for all. I would say a big, giant, and massive thank you for all those who helped me to be here and enrich my experience and gave me the opportunity to say what I have said. Here at VAS, I learned the art of giving and truly to be a source myself of assistance and help and happiness to others. Finally, allow me to dedicate my simple words here to my elder girl, Lujain, who inspired me to volunteer work. And this is another story we might share later. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mahad. And he said previously, and I can quote that's just a chapter of the book. You can check with Mahad. And he just started something about his daughter. It's an amazing story, he will tell you. So my name is Akoi Bazi, and I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. I was only 14 when the war took place in my country. And it erupted into a kind of unbelievable nightmare. And I can tell you, it stayed place in many parts of my life. I was forced into a refugee camp, not immediately. As you know, first we start with internal displacement, moving from one city to the other, expecting the war to finish in 2 minutes. That kept me 2 years on the border, just finding my way in another country that's very poor. Fortunately for me, I found myself in transit, where not actually integrated into my first country of asylum, and not in the kind of organized refugee camp. Then I moved on when I went to a refugee camp organized by the UNHCR. And UNHCR is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. It's a UN agency responsible for protecting people fleeing challenges in their country, and whatever that would be, according to the 1951 Convention. I lived in the refugee camp for 12 years. I started on with the plastic sheet, all the way going on to different kind of accommodation. Our camp was secure. You couldn't get out. It was not open in and out. You couldn't get out, not even by permission, so it was no go. It's a long story. So in 2004, I can now imagine why you were sat here. I believe something like that was going on before 2004. And we heard the UK government is not part of the international responsibility sharing through resettlement. And I was selected because I was an unaccompanied child when the war took place. And I resettled here in 2004. When I came here, I was supported by the Refugee Council. And through volunteering, I found potential to give something back. I was traveling from Sheffield to Manchester every day of the week to volunteer and come back because I wanted to give something back straight on. And with the support into volunteering, I managed to find my own desire and my motivation to support people. I've gone through, by the way, I lived in a French country for 12 years, so everything I did was in French. Came to the UK, I had to go back to college, learn English through volunteering, and find my feet doing something. Now I've gone to universities, I've graduated, done postgraduate work, and I've come out working for the Refugee Council, supporting refugees for the last 13 years. And it was through volunteering. And empowering refugees into volunteering got different levels that we'll be talking about. And many people can start in different ways, in different places. Some have gone wrong, and some have started and done very well. So today we're here to share our experiences, learning together from each other. Where did you start? Where did he end? At the end of the day, for us, we are talking about empowerment. So I want us to do something just briefly. Just imagine, my own journey when I had no warning but to run for life, leaving all my family and friends behind. Let's just do something quickly that will send us back into the next stage of our exercise. What I want you to do, the post-it note, I want you to take it with your pen. With your pen in hand and ready to write, I want you to draw a circle on that quickly. Imagine you are in a war situation. You haven't got time to even close your door. Just do it quickly. You've done it. And then draw 2 lines in there. Then you got 4 boxes in there. Straight away, 4 boxes in there. In those 4 boxes, with no kind of a preparation for national exam, just put 4 important things in each of those boxes that matters to you much. My dog could be, or your family, education, career, whatever you want. Just put one in each in those boxes. You will have 4 when you finish. Having done so, because it's fast and quick, you don't have time to think, you don't have to choose, because that's what war is about. If I had to choose, I was going to bring all of my family members, but some of them were killed. You got out there right now. That's your life in your hands. What I want you to do now, can you just move your hands on that life? Put it on the table. Put it before you on the table. Move your hands. And the next person sat beside you will drag your life from before you. Without permission, take the next person's life before them. Do it to the next person. Collect the paper before them. Not your life, next person. We force a little bit up. Yeah, give it to them. Swap over quickly. Swap. Assume that that's so forceful. Swap. Make sure you don't have your personal life in your hands. Now, the life you got before you is no longer your life. If you still have your life, you are not ready to go on a refugee journey. Can you imagine that you got somebody else's life before you now? Now, this is the time. This is how the rebels will do. They have control over your life, and they're going to do what they want to do to it. So now take your pen and cross 3 things out of them. Cross it out. Cross 3 things. Don't worry. If nothing there, just cross it. That means something, because someone cannot just quantify the values. 3, I like the way you're doing it with a bit of force. That's how they do. They drag it out of you, and no pity at all. You done it? Give it back. Take your life back. Take your life back. Don't apologize. They will never apologize to you. They will never apologize to you when they're doing those things. They will laugh and they will shout. You got it? Okay, now what you have before you is your life, right? Now, just imagine the 4 important things you put on there. Somebody from nowhere took 3 out without permission. In the real world, I don't know how emotional you will be or how joyful you're going to be with your life no more in your hands. So what we're going to do, without telling me how you feel right now, because that's just an example of how some asylum seekers and refugees will be thinking when you encounter them to support them. So with that your starting point will be, oh, I got food for you, just grab it, and it may not be food for them. It may just be, can someone just be like a dad or a mom to me? Can someone just say hi to me? Can someone just remind me where I am? Because actually, I work with refugees who've been in the UK for 12 months, and they don't even realize they're in Sheffield. Because your presence is not actually, physical presence does not mean an emotional presence. So when you're working with people, think about those things. Now, what we're going to do, for those who have worked in the refugee camp and want to share their refugee camp experiences, you're just going to cross over on the other side. If you work in the UK, can you just cross this way? So all those who have worked in the refugee camp, come with me this way, and the other people will go that way. Now, what we're going to do when we cross over, we're going to ask ourselves some questions and put them in category. Just 1 minute. So if you are working in country to empower refugees into being resourceful, also impacting on this, you're going to think about in your own work remit. Don't think about asking other people, what do you do? What will you do for refugees or asylum seekers when you encounter them? What will you do for them? What do you need to do for them? You don't need to ask questions. What do you need to do? What then will you do with them? For them, not involved, with them, a little bit of their involvement. What will you actually be standing back on and allowing them to take a bit of responsibility? before then arriving at empowerment. If you have any practical example of empowering a refugee or an asylum seeker in any way, small or big, we want that example here on your poster note. And it will help about integration. Sometimes working with refugees, the way to integration is by mixing, just about getting social activity, whether it's tea or coffee or just social activity, something like that. By doing so, people loosen up a bit and they are waiting to understand where they are and find connection. If you have any example of mixing activity, for example, refugee doing refugee week or picnic on the grass, put examples here on the poster note. Afterwards, we'll take a tour from the refugee camp to the UK in Sheffield, voluntary action Sheffield, and then come to a conclusion. The same way for us here in the refugee camp. So empowerment, we were looking at the questions, if not points that we were going to be discussing, just as doing for, doing with, but also we're looking at stepping back, as well as some of those activities that we do that facilitates integration, just as mixing, and also what are some examples, good examples of empowerment, something that we have done and have kind of impact on refugees that are contributing now to the society that welcome them. That is an example of empowerment.
We are using Maslow hierarchy of needs in this workshop, and in a way of trying to get participants to reflect on the things that makes them go to attend to a crisis. Now, is it to do with safety or food? Does it matter? Actually, what we're trying to promote here, each individual volunteer group, they can work together in harmony and to help a common cause, because one group can't close in, but if they work together and supplement each other, it's the best way to support refugees.
We're looking at empowerment and efficiency. Efficiency could be do it for them. We haven't got time. Give them what they want, give them what they need, and move on. But empowerment is a process by which you have to involve the person being empowered so that they become agent of their own empowerment. In that case, we can step back and focus on other people who may need more in order to go on. So the priorities actually are important, but not as important compared to the refugee themselves. Everyone has a journey and they're at different levels. So it could be for some people it's a security, some imagine thinking food or medical. So whatever way we do it, if we are coordinating our activities for the benefit of that refugee who may be productive in that society and giving something back is our intention.